In today's video, we're going to talk about slow pitch softball gloves and what you should consider if you're looking at buying a new one. So if your old glove looks something like this, maybe 5, 10 years, maybe even 20 years down the road, if it's time to upgrade, rather just talk you through the options. I was a pro baseball player, so I've been breaking in baseball gloves my whole life. I've learned a lot of tips and tricks along the way and what really matters and what doesn't. So in today's video, I'm going to give you a complete buying guide for slow pitch softball gloves so you can make the right choice for your budget. So real quick, this video is going to be long, so definitely check out the timestamps below. You can scrub through this video and be sure to stick around to the end because I have some tips on the best way to break in your glove. And this is actually really important, especially for slow pitch softball. And I'm going to give my overarching recommendations at the end. But again, you'll see that in the timestamps below. And I do want to mention that this is a partnership video with myself and justgloves.com. Now, I'm not trying to upsell you on a more expensive glove, but they have sent me many different models. I've got about 15 different ones that I'll share with you today, different sizes, shapes, price points, so that I could test them out and give you good advice, no matter what ends up being right for you. But you will find links in the description below to any of the gloves you see in this video, including this exclusive model. Hopefully you can find the right thing for you, and if you have any questions, leave them in the description below. All right, so first topic, let's talk about what you get for the money. First up, $50 to $60 price point. This is a Rawlings RSB, and what you'll see here is this is real leather, this gray leather here in the palm. The web and all the back and the inside, they are synthetic leather. The laces are synthetic leather. You get a Velcro closure, and in general, this has a more mushy feel that it's not going to break in very crisply like an all leather glove will. Now look, if you're brand new to slow pitch and you just want to go play on the company team and you haven't really played before, or you haven't played in 25 years, and you just need to grab something for next Tuesday, this glove is going to work really well. If I took this out for a slow pitch softball game today, I would do fine with it. I would make the plays. It wouldn't be ideal. Maybe one ball pops out on a long running catch, but overall, this will get the job done, and that's what you expect for a $50 to $60 glove. Next, let's talk about the low $100 price point. So this one here, this is a Mizuno MVP Prime. This is about $120 typically retail, and these two are about $140 or $150 depending. This is a Rawlings R9, and this is a Miken Pro Series. What you're going to get here is everything is leather. Pretty much. This Mizuno has a little bit of fabric to line the fingers. This Miken, on the other hand, has all leather interior. This does not have fabric in there. So it can vary a little bit. This is 120, this is 150-ish. The laces are very thick, so you got high quality laces at this price point. And these gloves are a little bit softer. So when you have this on your hand, it's going to be you could take this to your game tonight if it's brand new out of the wrapper. Like I can squeeze this relatively easily. I'm not going to miss any plays in a game with this brand new glove. That's not true of some of the more expensive ones that I'll show you in a moment. But overall, you get a lot for your money in the $100 to $150 price point. And this is going to last you multiple years. This could last you 10 years if you take good care of it. It really just depends how hard you play with it, how many games, and how well you maintain it. The other thing you'll see in the $100 to $150 price point is the closures. No more Velcro. Now you can get Velcro on gloves at this price range, but most people prefer this like leather pull closure. And this is really handy, especially for the ladies or anyone with smaller hands. All you do is grab this tab, yank it, and it really yanks it down tight on your hand, which I really like that feature. Next, let's talk about gloves in the $200 price point range. And this is kind of a weird in-between price range where you might get a really stiff glove, you might get one that's a little bit softer, but you're going to start to get some of those really high quality materials. You're going to get some really cool shapes and sizes. You're going to get amazing laces, a better interior, some of that deerskin lining. So you're going to start to get some of those premium features in the $200 price point without being an elite level glove like an A2000 or a Heart of the Hide or a Pro Preferred, one of those higher level gloves. So these three here, this is a Shoeless Joe. This one's about $200 retail. And this is a very vintage inspired glove, obviously. So this one's going to be right for people who love this old school look, and it's super functional, modern materials, just got that vintage look to it. And these two are both Stinger brand. This one is stiffer than the black one, where this one is going to take a lot more break-in. This is probably 70% player break-in. For this one, this is 12.5. It's a really handsome glove. And then this Stinger is a little bit easier to break in. This is 12.25, but it's got the cool snakeskin like deboss feature. And so what you're going to get in that $200 price point is a much more durable glove, a more luxurious shape, feel, like you're going to start to get that really high-end feel to it, and something that's going to last, 5+ years if you take care of it. So you get a lot at that price point, and you're just starting to inch towards the really premium ones in the $200 price point. All right, so what do you get in basically the $300 plus price point range? So this is a Wilson A2000, as is this. This is a Wilson A2K. This is their highest end model. This is a Rawlings Heart of the Hide, which is one of their high-end. They also have the Rawlings Pro Preferred, which is the equivalent of the A2K, which are about $450 gloves. Really beautiful craftsmanship, beautiful colors. Like, this is one of my absolute personal favorite gloves. You get a deerskin lining on the inside, so it's really soft and really luxe. When you put your hand in one of these high-end gloves, you can really feel like, wow, this is a premium product. Now, the biggest thing that you get is this really high-quality, thick and stiff leather. So this is a brand new, out of the wrapper, fast pitch model of A2000, and this thing is really hard to squeeze. Like, I'm not faking this for the camera. Like, all of my might, I can barely get the fingers together right now. This glove has had 0 break-in time. So this is a positive and a negative. It's a positive because this high quality, super thick, super stiff leather is going to maintain a custom shape to your hand if you break it in well. And that way, when you put your hand in this, you're like, this is my glove, right? And this is going to hold up for many, many years. This is what every major leaguer uses, but it takes a long time to break these in for slow pitch, especially. This glove is 2 years old, and it's not even as floppy as some of these other brand new gloves, like this Rawlings R9 is right out of the package. So it will take a lot of break-in time and care. And do you want that? That's the big question. Do you want to spend a lot of time breaking a glove? It's a worthwhile investment if you want to. And if you don't, well, that's a choice too. All right, next let's talk about size. I've got pretty much every size and shape of slow pitch softball glove here. This is 11.5. This is a typical baseball infielder's glove. Look how much of the ball takes up the entire mitt. It's way too small for slow pitch. This is 11.75. This is a fast pitch mitt, a really nice Rawlings Liberty. Again, you can see how much of this takes up the glove. So if you're a high level player, maybe use a small mitt like this, but I don't recommend it for new players or really for anyone in general in slow pitch. Now, if you're going to play infield in slow pitch softball, we're probably going to be talking about something in the 12 to 13 inch range. So let's talk about some of those options here. Here we have a 12-inch Wilson A2K. Here we have a 12.25-inch Stinger. Here we have a 12.5-inch Stinger, different model, and a 12.5-inch Wilson A2000. This is a fast pitch model. So if you're playing middle infield or third base exclusively and you want a glove on the smaller size, because that's what you're comfortable with, then 12, 12.5, or 12.25, or 12.5 is going to be totally fine. I think stick with 12.5 or 12.25. I still think 12 is too small for playing infield and slow pitch. And remember, you're still going to be able to get this out of your glove easy. Look how big this ball is in this glove. It's not going to be hard to find it and transfer it on those rare times when you might turn a double play or you just have a really speedy runner. The overall best glove size for slow pitch softball, if you needed one glove to play any position, 12.75 or 13 inches. So here on the left side, these are both 12.25 or 12.75 inch. This is a Rawlings Heart of the Hide R2G. Again, I love this glove to death. This is a Mizuno MVP Prime. This is like $120 and a super handsome glove. This is a really nice glove. 12.75 can play any infield position, and you can certainly play the outfield really well. It gives you enough pocket. 12.75 is a great size. The other thing to know about 12.75 is that this is a very common baseball outfielder size. So if you want a really unique glove with a different web, a crazy colorway, or a really custom one, there are a million baseball options of 12.75 because it's a very common baseball size. So if you want something really flashy and cool, or something you want to find a really great deal, or find a baseball outfield glove on sale, whatever, like justgloves.com has a great sale page. 12.75 is an amazing utility size for slow pitch. And then 13, only slightly smaller, right? But you do get a little more roominess in the pocket. And so I think 13, if you're primarily going to play outfield, but maybe you fill in at first base or third base, I think 13 is the way to go. Is there a big difference between 13 inches and 12.75? There really isn't. But I do think 13, if you're primarily an outfielder, I'd say go a little bigger. If you're primarily an infielder, then maybe 12.5 or 12.75. So 13 inch is awesome. 12.75 is also a really good utility size for slow pitch. If you want a bigger glove, I think there is absolutely no reason not to go bigger if you play outfield almost exclusively. This is a Rawlings R9. This is about $150. This is a nice big pocket. It's a really high quality glove for, mid 100s. This will last you a bunch of years. Really, really solid mitt. 13.5 inches. You could still go fill in at third base or fill in at first base and snag that one hopper down the line because if you have a little more length, I think 13 inches is an awesome in-between size without it getting really, really big. Now, this is where it gets more controversial. 14-inch and 15-inch. Who are these right for? When I play, if it's a tight game, I'm taking my 14-inch mitt. I'm taking this one out to the outfield if it's a tight game. Because if I absolutely can't drop a ball, like I'm on a long run and I'm lunging for it, I want that extra length. I want this bigger pocket. I want to know that if it hits my glove, it's getting trapped in there. And I really think 14-inch is the overall best outfield shape if you're playing competitive or you're just not as sure-handed and you really want to have more room to trap a ball in it. I think 14-inch is the best size because, again, this is the same relative size considering the ball as a 12 3/4 or 13-inch baseball outfitter's mitt with the much smaller baseball. So don't shy away from 14-inch gloves. This is a Wilson A2000. This is a JustGloves.com exclusive color. It's a really great glove, and they use some super skin, which is a synthetic material that's very durable on the back to reduce weight. Because as the glove gets bigger, it can get a little bit heavier. But in my experience, these do not feel heavy to me. It's not like this is like I'm lugging this around. Now, 15 inches, this is a very big glove. It will look a little bit cartoony on your hand right away. I've played in a bunch of games with this. I played catch with it at a buddy. I've had buddies try it out and tell me what they think. This thing is fine. You can definitely feel that it's a little bit heavier, right? But it's got a huge pocket, and if you're not as sure-handed, I think this could be a fine glove for you. Who is this glove for? I think this is for people who play first base and maybe don't have the mobility, where they don't have a big jumping ability or they can't stretch quite as far. This would be an amazing first base glove if you just want to make sure you catch everything and you're not going to be able to leap 30 inches into the air, like some 24-year-old young buck. Now, if you're a smaller person, I'd say if you're under 6 foot and you don't have big hands, this is not going to be the glove for you. This is going to feel too big. I think you need to be a bigger bodied person, probably above 6 foot with big hands for a 15-inch to make sense for you. Is there a difference between baseball outfielders mitts and slow pitch softball specific mitts? The answer is mostly no, but sometimes yes. So in this example, I'm going to give you a yes. This Mikan is basically all softball. They don't really make baseball products. They're very big in the softball world. This Mikan model has a very deep pocket that you can tell is very much slow pitch specific. This is one of the few brands that I've seen that really does have a difference where right out of the wrapper, this is much more bowl shaped and you can see how that ball can really find its way into the back of the pocket. I think that's a really big positive for slow pitch or for fast pitch. This is a baseball outfitter's mitt, and this one is more typical of what you get from a baseball outfitter's mitt. They're just a little shallower pocket because the baseball is so much smaller. So as you look here, I can't close this around this nearly as well. Now this is right out of the wrapper, as is this glove. This will break in and the pocket will get deeper over time, but you can tell that the shape is just not designed quite as well for slow pitch because, again, this is a baseball glove. Now, both of these are the same size-ish. This is 13, this is 12 3/4. So effectively, they're about the same size, not a really significant difference. But this one has been manufactured and shaped to be much more friendly to a slow pitch softball. So if that's important to you, then go for a slow pitch mitt. The one downside here is that there are millions more models of baseball outfitters mitts because it's a much bigger market. There are millions of kids playing baseball compared to the slow pitch market. So with slow pitch, you're just going to get not as many choices of colors and styles and webs and shapes. You're just going to have a much narrower product offering. But one last comparison here, this is a baseball outfitter's mitt, and this is also a baseball outfitter's mitt. And there's a big difference here as well. So as we saw, this one's a little bit more shallow. This one is a much deeper shape compared to this one. So this one is a baseball outfitter's mitt, but the shape is a lot more like that slow pitch softball Mikan mitt. So there are definitely differences from model to model, and that's something for you to explore in your shopping journey. But overall, I wouldn't shy away from a baseball mitt. I think they can work really, really well. It's just up to you if you want the more slow pitch specific, deeper pocket. Let's talk about the break-in rating when you're shopping for a new baseball or softball glove. In the product description, what most companies use now is a percentage. So like 70/30 or 90/10. And that refers to the factory breaking it in and the player breaking it in. So typically the first number is the factory, the second number is the player. So 70% factory break-in and 30% player break-in is a pretty common one. So when you see those numbers, typically they follow the price point of the glove. So for a lower price point glove like this Rawlings RSB, this is probably like a 90% factory break-in and a 10% player break-in. It's going to come pretty soft and easy to close right out of the wrapper. Now, there are some exceptions to that. This Rawlings Heart of the Hide R2G, this is ready to go, ready to game with. This one is intended to be a high level, like high quality glove, but has more factory break-in. So this one is about 70% factory, 30% player. And this one, I have not played that many games with it. And you can see it's pretty easy to close. And I really like that about it. But this one is going to get, the leather is a little softer. So it's going to get softer over time, where it's going to lose a little more of its custom shape compared to one that's more on the player to break it in. And then let's go to some that are not like that. This Rawlings Liberty, high quality, fast pitch model. So women, it's going to have a smaller hand closure, which we'll discuss. But this one, pretty tough to squeeze right out of the wrapper. This is more like a 90% player break-in, 10% factory break-in. So this is going to take quite a long time for you to use this in a glove right away. If you go play infield with this right out of the wrapper, you're going to make a bunch of errors for sure. Look for the rating in the description when you're buying a glove of what the factory break-in is and what the player share of the break-in is. It's very important and can help you make a good buying decision about a glove if you need to play with it right away, or maybe buy in the off season and you have 6 months to work on it before spring rolls around. Let's talk brands for Slowpitch softball mitts. So what brand should you look for? So a couple things to understand. Rawlings and Wilson absolutely dominate the baseball and softball mitt industry, and for a good reason. They're really high quality gloves. A lot of times we want to eschew the big company, like big glove, like Rawlings is big glove, Wilson is big glove. But look, I've been a baseball player. You know, I was playing from age 8 until age 30, and they've only gotten better. You get a lot for your money. You get what you pay for with gloves. And Rawlings and Wilson have maintained their leadership in the industry, not just because they're big companies, because the quality is excellent. So it's not a situation where if you buy from the big brands, you're getting, you know, this mass market version. They're really, really good gloves. So I just want to put that out there. But there are also lots of other brands. There's more boutique brands, small brands than ever, where they're maybe making the glove in the USA, or they're super duper custom options. There's also other brands that are big, like Mizuno. They make great gloves. They're just not as big of a company, especially in the US, as Rawlings and Wilson. But everything from Mizuno is top notch. Mikan is more of a softball specific company. And from what I've seen with their softball gloves, they're very good. And they are also slow pitch specific shaped. So this has a much deeper pocket. So there's some little trade-offs here and there, but ultimately, like, it comes down to what you love. As a good example, this glove is from a small company called Shoeless Joe. And this is basically, all their gloves are like a throwback pretty much to like vintagey gloves with some modern techniques. And this is a really cool glove. Is this the right glove for you? If you're like one of those baseball nerds where you just love the old-timey stuff, then yeah, you're probably going to geek out on this glove. It's really well made. It smells like Americana, and it's cool. So really, you can't go wrong. It comes down to a personal preference. Like, if you don't like the big brands, you want to go to the little guy, go do it. What I will say is you basically just get what you pay for with baseball and softball gloves. You spend more money, you're getting a higher quality product pretty much across the line. And that holds true pretty much with any brand. A $300 glove, if it's Marucci or Mizuno or Rawlings or Wilson, they're all going to be excellent gloves. You're going to get what you pay for. All right, for the ladies out there, if you're looking for a new glove for slow pitch softball, should you be looking to a fast pitch model like these two? Should you get a baseball outfield model? Should you get a slow pitch specific model? Let's talk about some of the differences for female players. With fast pitch mitts, they are meant for a smaller hand, and they also have a smaller hand opening. You can tell right away that these two are not the same size, right? This is the baseball glove. This is the fast pitch glove, much smaller hand opening. This is that one was an A2000. This is a Rawlings Liberty. Same thing here. You can tell much smaller hand opening here in the Rawlings Liberty. Now the closure matters too. Fast pitch or slow pitch, you can get an adjustable back closure, or you can get a fixed back closure here. You can adjust these, but this one is already on the smallest adjustment. So you can't adjust this one any smaller than it already is. This is how it comes out of the wrapper. This one, you can always just crank down this more and make it smaller, right? So just to compare how big this is, like I have relatively big hands and wide palms. I'm not the biggest human, I'm 6 foot, but I have pretty big hands for my size. And you can see I still have some room in this glove. It's got some looseness to it. I could flop it off of my hands pretty easily. Now, when I try to put this fast pitch glove on my hand, it definitely takes some work to get it in there, but it's tight on my hand and it's totally fine. So if you're worried, if your hands aren't tiny and you're like, well, is a fast pitch glove going to work? A guy with wide palms can get his glove into a fast pitch glove. And of course, this is leather, so it's going to stretch out over time. So if I had to play every day with a fast pitch glove, it would be totally fine. Now, the adjustable back, I think, is an asset for everyone. I like how they feel. As an example, if you're using like a really big outfielder's mitt, male or female, this thing's 14 inches. It's much, much bigger. So the looseness might be a problem for you, right? The looseness here, as you're reaching, it might just get a little heavy, start to slide off your fingers a little bit. So for a bigger glove, you might say, yeah, if I'm going to get a bigger one, I'm going to get one with a crank so I can really adjust it tighter. I think that's a good idea. But at the same time, all these gloves do have extra holes where if I wanted to make this permanently tighter, I could undo the laces, go in these holes, and it would go in at about a ½ inch. So that's always an option. So my recommendations for female slow pitch players is to get a fast pitch glove. It's specifically built for smaller hands, both in the shape of the internals of inside the fingers and in the hand opening. So I think this is going to be a lot more comfortable. It's going to be fit for you. And obviously fast pitch has been flourishing as a sport. So there are more colorways, more variations, more options, more price points in fast pitch mitts than there are slow pitch mitts. And I think you'll probably find one that you really, really like. Now, there's no harm in going with a baseball mitt. They're going to be totally fine just the same, but they're going to have a larger hand opening and a little more room in the finger stalls. So just make the decision that's right for you. But if you're new to buying a glove, I would say try to go for a fast pitch model. All right, let me give you my #1 glove break-in tip. I think this is really, really important, and I want to show you how this works. So when you get a new glove, for slow pitch softball especially, you want to break it in with 2 fingers in the pinky stall, your middle finger in the ring finger stall, and your index finger slid over into the middle finger stall. So there's no finger in your index stall. Here's why. You can see my hand's kind of angled over. This is my index finger. It's in the middle stall. This is my middle finger. It's in the ring stall. And then these two fellows are hanging out together in this one. So the way I'm holding this glove is like this. This is very important. When I close the glove with the 2 in the pinky and everything slid over, it allows me to close the glove more thumb to pinky. And this is important because when that ball goes in, if I close it more thumb to pinky, it deepens the pocket significantly. If I don't do that, if I go normal fingers, so index, middle, ring, pinky, now it's very uncomfortable and anatomically awkward to close from thumb to pinky. And so what I'll do instead is close more like this. So now my thumb is over kind of like the, maybe like the 3rd finger, like that. And look how much shallower the pocket is. It's much, much shallower. This is a tip that I learned from my outfielders when I played Division I baseball. Every outfielder in college baseball, in pro baseball, every single one of them, they do this trick. They slide their fingers over, 2 in the pinky stall, so that they can close it like this, which makes it much more likely that you catch the ball and keep it in there on that diving play, on that long run where you have to reach out and you want to make sure it goes right into the web. So I highly recommend, because slow pitch softball has such a big ball, and most of you are going to be playing outfield, and for infielders, you probably already know how you're breaking your glove, but I break all my gloves in now with 2 in the pinky and I slide them over because I want that deeper pocket, which is going to give me that extra peace of mind that I've got a nice bowl shape for that ball to find its way into. So I highly recommend you breaking all of your gloves that way, thumb to pinky, 2 in the pinky stall. Now, if you're wondering, how should I break in my glove? What's the best way? I'm going to buy one of those really high quality stiff gloves like an A2000 or Heart of the Hide, and I want to break it in the right way so I can have this beautiful custom glove for the next 5, 10, 15 years. I have a full video on how to break in your glove that I'm going to link to below rather than making this video longer than it already is. You want to make sure you get lots of folds here, lots of folds here. That gives you sort of hinge points where this glove is going to break in much quicker. So when I get a new glove out of the wrapper, I work these fold points over and over and over, trying to fold it as much as I can to really start to soften up the leather in those edges. That's the number one thing I do to start. I use some hot water to help speed that process up, which I'll explain in the video. But again, check out the description below for a full video that I've made on how to break in your new softball glove. All right, so again, I want to thank my sponsor, justgloves.com. Check out the links in the description below. You'll see links to all these different gloves. If you have any questions about which ones I showed or recommendations, definitely leave me a comment. I respond to tons of comments and I get lots of video ideas from comments as well. So I really value you interacting with me. So if you have any questions, check them out below. But again, justgloves.com has sent me tons of gloves. Their sister company, justbats.com, has been really great helping me do bat reviews. So I really appreciate them. So if you're looking for a new glove, definitely check them out. They've got great prices. They have sales all the time. You can get a glove like this A2000 much cheaper than you would other places. So definitely check out justgloves.com. They've been a great partner to me, helping make new free videos for people like you. So thanks again for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you here in the next video.